The Jonathan Kuminga situation has become one of the most intriguing off-season stories in the NBA right now. What started as whispers around restricted free agency has slowly transformed into a tug-of-war between player ambition, team strategy, cap complications, and a fan base stuck somewhere in the middle. The question isn't just whether Kuminga will stay with the Warriors. It's becoming more about how and why he would either stay or go, and what kind of domino effect that could create for Golden State and the rest of the league. So let's set the table here. First off, Kuminga is coming off a season that was a roller coaster in every sense. At just 22 years old, he's already shown flashes of elite two-way potential, explosive athleticism, defensive versatility, and offensive growth that you just don't teach. But despite all that upside, he finished the year on the bench. Literally, a string of did-not plays to close the season and minimal impact in the playoffs raised serious questions about how much faith Steve Kerr and the coaching staff really have in his development. And yet, he wants to be a starter. He believes he's ready. He even made it clear on his Instagram, posting, "I'll bet on myself all day." That's a player who's either preparing for a breakout season or a fresh start somewhere else. Now here's where things start to get messy. Kuminga is a restricted free agent. That means if another team wants him, it either has to make an offer that the Warriors can match, or it needs to engage in a sign-and-trade. But the Warriors? They've already slammed the door on a sign-and-trade unless they get exactly what they want. And trust me, their asking price isn't cheap. We're talking a legit core-level player who can contribute right now, plus an unprotected first-round pick. That's a big ask for a player who hasn't even solidified himself as a full-time starter yet. One team that's reportedly shown real interest? The Sacramento Kings. And you know what makes that even more complicated? The Warriors-Kings rivalry has been heating up fast in recent years. There's tension, there's proximity, there's pride. If Kuminga ends up flourishing right across the bridge in Sacramento, and Golden State didn't get a good enough return, that's the kind of regret that lingers for a decade. That's the kind of decision that haunts front offices and fans alike. So what exactly do the Kings offer? Well, depending on the report, the initial deal included Devin Carter, Dario Saric, and a couple of second-rounders. That didn't move the needle. Then they came back with Malik Monk and a protected first-rounder, a pick that would only become unprotected in 2030 or 2031. Translation? It's probably going to land in the back half of the first round. So let's do the math here. The Warriors used the 7th overall pick in the draft to get Kuminga. Now they're being asked to flip that for a late pick and a scorer who may not fit their long-term timeline. No wonder they're not rushing into anything. But let's not ignore the financial side, because this might be the real reason nothing has happened yet. The Warriors are completely handcuffed by the salary cap. Their top 3 contracts, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green, combined for a mind-blowing $139 million. That's more than any other trio in the league. For comparison, the Bucks' top 3 make a little over $100 million. The Jazz? Just $74 million. So Golden State isn't just strapped. They're locked in a financial straitjacket. That means any trade they make has to match dollar for dollar. And here's the thing with sign-and-trades under current NBA rules. Only 50% of Kuminga's new salary would count as outgoing money. So if a team like Sacramento offers him $21 million per year, the Warriors can only count $10.5 million of that on their books. That's a huge gap. To make it work, they'd have to include someone else in the trade just to balance the numbers. Think players like Moses Moody or Buddy Hield, guys with tradable contracts in that $8 to $12 million range. But that's where the internal debate starts. Do you really want to give up Kuminga and one of your few remaining rotation guys just to get back a player you might not even be that high on? Golden State's roster is already thin. They've barely made any moves in free agency. They haven't added anyone of significance this offseason. So packaging multiple players just to offload Kuminga doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you're getting a star-level guy in return. And so far, nobody's offering that. Then there's Phoenix. The Suns reportedly came in with a more aggressive offer, something in the neighborhood of $90 million for Kuminga. That's a serious payday. But Sacramento offers something Phoenix can't, a starting role. With the Kings, Kuminga could slide right into a core that includes Keegan Murray and Domantas Sabonis. He wouldn't just be a guy, he'd be the guy on the wing. That's the kind of opportunity young players dream about. But again, it's the Warriors who hold the cards here. And while Kuminga may want out, while other teams may be circling, Golden State doesn't have to do anything right now. They've got the qualifying offer on the table, $7.9 million for 1 more year. If Kuminga accepts that, he can bet on himself, try to raise his value, and become an unrestricted free agent next summer. That would give him full control of his future. But it's a risk. One injury, one down year, and that long-term payday might disappear. That's the gamble he's weighing. And here's the wild card, the coaching staff. Steve Kerr has openly struggled to find a consistent role for Kuminga, especially when playing him alongside guys like Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. The fit hasn't always been smooth. Kerr has said that spacing becomes an issue when all three are on the floor together. And in a league where spacing is king, that's not something you can overlook. Still, heading into the upcoming season, Kerr has hinted they'll try again. More time to gel, more minutes, more experimentation. But how much of that is real, and how much is just buying time? Because let's not forget, the Warriors were a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense without Kuminga playing major minutes. So from the front office's perspective, the question becomes, does keeping Kuminga make us better, or does it create more problems than it solves? Meanwhile, other teams around the league are keeping tabs. Teams with cap space next year, like Brooklyn, Utah, maybe even Milwaukee, could make a play for Kuminga if he hits the open market. But again, nothing's guaranteed. And unless a team has serious money and a serious need, they might not be willing to throw him the kind of offer he's looking for. From Kuminga's point of view, it's pretty clear what he wants. He wants a start. He wants a system that's built around his strengths. He wants the chance to prove he can be a star, not just a role player waiting for minutes behind all-stars and veterans. And he's not wrong for that. He's got the talent. But the NBA isn't just about talent. It's about fit, timing, opportunity, and, let's be honest, money. So now we wait. Does he sign the qualifying offer? Does a mystery team jump in with a blockbuster proposal? Do the Warriors finally blink and lower their trade demands? Or do they hold firm, betting that Kuminga either breaks out under their system or becomes a B? What makes this whole situation even more complicated is the Warriors' internal battle between short-term goals and long-term potential. Golden State isn't in a rebuild. They're trying to win now. They still have Steph Curry playing at an elite level, Jimmy Butler newly acquired to be the secondary star, and Draymond Green still anchoring the defense. This team wants to compete in the West, not sit around and wait for young talent to blossom 2 or 3 years from now. And yet, in Jonathan Kuminga, they have one of the most athletic and promising young players they've drafted in recent memory. The problem is they can't have it both ways. Keeping Kuminga means accepting that he needs touches, needs development time, and needs to play through his mistakes. But that directly clashes with a roster full of veterans who are trying to win every single night. That tension is at the heart of what's driving the uncertainty. You can feel it in the way Steve Kerr has handled him. There have been moments where Kerr has praised Kuminga's energy, his willingness to work, his flashes of brilliance. But there have also been long stretches where Kuminga barely sees the floor, or worse, disappears from the rotation entirely. Part of that is about matchups. Part of it is about trust. But a big part of it is also about identity. The Warriors play a cerebral brand of basketball. Read and react. Off-ball movement. Precision passing. It's a system that favors high IQ veterans who understand spacing, timing, and decision-making on a deep level. Kuminga, on the other hand, is still learning those nuances. He thrives in open space, in transition, in isolation moments where he can use his physical tools. And that's not the Warriors' offense. Not by default. That's why some around the league believe Kuminga won't reach his full potential until he's in a different system. One that gives him the freedom to attack more, to create, to play instinctively. A team like the Rockets, Magic, or even the Nets could be a better stylistic fit, where he'd be allowed to grow with the ball in his hands more often. But the tricky part is that none of those teams have stepped up with the kind of offer that makes Bob Myers and the front office reconsider their stance. The Warriors still see value in Kuminga. They just aren't sure how to unlock it without compromising what they're trying to do today. Meanwhile, Kuminga's camp is starting to play the leverage game. By rejecting the reported 2-year, $45 million offer from the Warriors, which included a team option in the second year, he sent a very clear message. He doesn't just want to get paid. He wants control. Taking the qualifying offer means betting on himself for one more season at just under $8 million, then entering unrestricted free agency next summer. That would give him full leverage. No team options. No restricted tag. Total freedom to pick the best situation, whether it's for money, minutes, or market. But again, it's a gamble. If he takes the qualifying offer and doesn't break out, or worse, if he gets hurt, then the long-term money might dry up. And that's where the Warriors still have some leverage. They can offer stability. They can offer structure. And they can offer a chance to be part of something bigger than just an individual stat line. But is that enough for Kuminga at this point in his career? He's watched teammates like Jordan Poole get paid and traded. He's seen young players leapfrog him in the rotation. And he knows his window to prove he's a starter, not just a bench piece, is starting to close. All of this is unfolding against the backdrop of one of the most expensive rosters in NBA history. The new CBA has introduced stiffer penalties for teams that go above the second tax apron. It's not just about luxury tax payments anymore. It's about roster flexibility. Teams over the second apron lose access to certain exceptions. They can't aggregate salaries in trades. They can't sign buyout players. They lose tools that help contenders stay flexible. And guess what? The Warriors are already deep into that second apron territory. With 3 max contracts on the books, they have very little wiggle room to make meaningful additions. Every dollar counts. Every contract matters. That's why they're being so careful with Kuminga. He's not just a basketball decision. He's a financial one. If they extend him on a big deal and he doesn't deliver, they're stuck. If they let him walk for nothing, they lose an asset they developed for years. And if they trade him for less than they think he's worth, they risk watching him become a star somewhere else, maybe even in the same division. Let's go back to the Kings for a second. Malik Monk is the centerpiece of the rumored deal. He's a dynamic scorer, a great shooter, and a spark plug off the bench. But does he raise the Warriors' ceiling? He's not a defender. He doesn't fill the void left by Kuminga's potential on that end of the floor. He's also not the kind of two-way wing that this team has traditionally valued in its system. And let's be real, a protected pick in the 2030s isn't going to help Steph Curry win another ring. So unless Sacramento sweetens the offer, say, by removing protections on the pick or adding a more versatile player, it's hard to see the Warriors going for it. The Suns, on the other hand, made a higher financial offer to Kuminga, somewhere in the $90 million range. But they don't have the assets or the flexibility to make a sign-and-trade work. Their books are maxed out with Durant, Booker, Beal, and company. Even if Kuminga wanted to go there, the path just isn't realistic unless Golden State decides to take back contracts they don't want. And that's not happening. The Warriors aren't in the business of helping rivals get stronger unless they get significantly better in return. And then there's the emotional layer of this. Kuminga has been with the Warriors since he was a teenager. He's grown up in this system. He's seen what winning looks like. But he's also seen what it looks like to be on the outside of the rotation, to watch games from the bench, to feel like you're not fully trusted. That kind of experience shapes a young player. It either motivates you or it makes you want out. And right now, it feels like Kuminga is leaning toward the latter. Not because he hates the Warriors, but because he wants more than what they're offering. You look at the teams with cap space in the near future: Brooklyn, Memphis, Utah, Charlotte, Philadelphia. And you start to see where things could head next summer if the situation drags on. If Kuminga rides out the season on the qualifying offer, he'll have his pick of destinations. But the Warriors know that, too. They know this might be their last chance to get something meaningful in return before he walks for nothing. That's why the pressure is building. What makes all of this even more fascinating is that it's happening during the NBA's so-called dead zone. August is usually quiet. No games. No big moves. Just rumors and workouts and a lot of speculation. But this Kuminga story is keeping things alive. Fans are debating it. Front offices are monitoring it. And everyone's wondering, what's the next move? It might come down to training camp. If Kuminga shows up and plays like a man on a mission, if he dominates scrimmages, if he forces. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. Whispers around the NBA universe have been growing louder over the past few days, and now the rumor mill seems to be pointing toward a seismic shift in the league. Devin Booker, the perennial all-star and Phoenix Suns talisman, may have agreed to terms with the Golden State Warriors, a team already stacked with talent and championship pedigree. While official confirmations remain elusive, social media has erupted with speculation, memes, and hot takes as fans dissect every possible implication of such a move. Some argue that Booker's scoring prowess would perfectly complement the Splash Brothers' sharpshooting, creating a nightmare for opposing defenses, while others warn about potential chemistry issues with a roster already accustomed to a specific rhythm and hierarchy. Analysts have begun mapping out hypothetical rotations, imagining how Steve Kerr might integrate Booker without disrupting the team's delicate balance. Meanwhile, fan forums are flooded with posts imagining a Warriors-Suns showdown in future seasons under entirely new dynamics, with every comment thread exploding into heated debates over who might emerge as the true offensive focal point. Even casual NBA observers have jumped into the conversation, curious about the financial and contractual gymnastics that might be required to make such a blockbuster move happen. Rumors continue to swirl like never before. Speculation about Booker joining the Warriors has ignited fervent online activity, with Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit all serving as hotbeds of reaction and conjecture. Fans are crafting hypothetical highlight reels, imagining alley-oops connecting Booker with Draymond Green or step-back threes alongside Steph Curry, while YouTube channels churn out video breakdowns of what a Warriors offense with Booker could look like in motion. Betting odds have shifted subtly in some markets, suggesting that the rumor has more traction than mere idle chatter. Analysts have begun scrutinizing contract structures, potential trade packages, and salary cap implications, attempting to gauge whether the Warriors can realistically absorb Booker without sacrificing key role players. Meanwhile, social media influencers and podcasters are stoking the fire, with daily updates, hot takes, and clickbait headlines feeding the frenzy and keeping fans on edge. Conversations are not limited to American audiences either. International followers of the NBA have joined in, translating every snippet of insider information and speculating about global marketing impacts. Even former players and coaches are being asked for their opinions, generating more headlines and further fueling the rumor. The buzz shows no signs of slowing down, and every day seems to add another layer of possibility to the story. The prospect of Booker donning the iconic Warriors uniform has triggered intense debate among fans, with some heralding it as the ultimate championship blueprint, while others caution about potential pitfalls. Social media threads are filled with projections, simulations, and animated GIFs depicting imagined game scenarios, often showing Booker hitting clutch shots alongside Curry and Thompson, or feeding into Green's playmaking brilliance. Skeptics raise questions about ball distribution, defensive responsibilities, and whether Kerr could successfully manage the egos of three superstar-level players. In sports bars and online forums alike, fans are dissecting every potential angle. Would the Warriors need to trade a key contributor to make room? How would this affect the development of younger players like Jordan Poole or Jonathan Kuminga? Could the Suns realistically negotiate a deal without drastically altering their own championship window? Amid all this, social media polls, TikTok videos, and Instagram stories have turned the rumor into a participatory experience, with fans voting, commenting, and predicting the eventual outcome. The speculation has reached a fever pitch, making it clear that, even as an unconfirmed rumor, the possibility of Booker joining the Warriors has captured imaginations in a way few NBA stories do, blending excitement, skepticism, and endless what-if scenarios. Industry insiders and journalists are reportedly receiving cryptic tips and off-the-record confirmations, fueling the wildfire of speculation. Sports networks are covering the story with panels of analysts debating whether such a deal could realistically take place within league rules, trade deadlines, and salary cap limitations. Meanwhile, social media continues to amplify minor details, such as cryptic Instagram likes or subtle tweets from players' accounts, which fans interpret as secret confirmations of impending moves. Betting agencies have adjusted odds on championship futures and MVP races, implicitly acknowledging that the rumor carries weight in the wider basketball ecosystem. Podcasts and online columns offer endless conjecture about how this hypothetical pairing would impact the Western Conference landscape, particularly with the Lakers, Clippers, and Suns potentially reacting to a Warriors roster bolstered by Booker's offensive firepower. Fans have even begun projecting merchandise sales, imagining jerseys and hats flying off shelves as anticipation builds. The intensity of online chatter mirrors the excitement one might expect from a confirmed trade, demonstrating how powerful social media can be in shaping perceptions, expectations, and hype around the NBA. Every new leak, comment, or suggestion is treated as evidence, feeding the rumor and making it increasingly difficult for fans to separate speculation from reality. Even as uncertainty continues, the possibility of Booker joining the Warriors has begun influencing broader NBA narratives, from draft strategies to trade rumors and free agency moves. Teams across the league are reportedly assessing how a potential Warriors blockbuster might alter competitive balance, while fans speculate on what the move would mean for the legacies of Curry, Thompson, and Green. Commentators are weighing in with historical comparisons, citing past super team formations and their ultimate fates, while social media users argue passionately over whether such a combination could yield sustained dominance or short-term chaos. Meanwhile, the rumor has inspired creative fan content, including imagined highlight reels, mock press conferences, and simulated matchups against top Eastern Conference contenders, keeping basketball communities engaged and energized. Even sponsors, advertisers, and sports brands are reportedly monitoring the situation closely, considering the marketing potential of a Warriors team featuring Booker alongside the league's most recognizable figures. The ripple effect is undeniable. The rumor has transcended simple speculation to become a full-blown cultural conversation, influencing not only basketball fans but the broader sports media ecosystem. Whether or not Booker ultimately signs with Golden State, the very possibility has proven potent enough to ignite discussion, debate, and excitement across multiple platforms and audiences, leaving the NBA world on edge and hungry for confirmation. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.